Search has been the best business of all time for 20 years. The most profitable company, fastest growing company, Google, and the best business model forever. And this is the first time we've ever seen it. Like, wait a second, is this not a totally monopoly? Do they have chinks in the armor?
This is probably even more exaggerated now that people are actually using the tools to find things. SEO is probably going to be dying. People are still using AOL. It takes a while for these things to drop off and those behaviors to change. The acceleration is more exaggerated than anything historically we've seen.
Google's earnings come out, doesn't look that bad, but then Apple under testimony says, oh, our ad dollars are shrinking from search. And everyone is like, oh, well, that must be because Google's not getting the same search volume that it once had. So it crashes. Kodak invented the digital camera. And what happened? Liz, another busy week. I'm excited because we had tech earnings this week.
Yes.
So we saw Google,
Yes.
Meta,
Yes.
I think even Microsoft report. And we're getting our first glimpses into, okay, they're starting to use AI. Is it affecting these companies or is it not affecting these companies? So tell us, what's the bottom line?
Okay, so Google Alphabet, they came out with their earnings. People were happy about the numbers. And the CEO was really sort of emphasizing various aspects of their business, not necessarily highly focused on search. But a couple days later, there was some testimony going on inside of Congress where one of the leaders at Apple revealed that their numbers have declined when it came to search revenue. So they get, I guess, a portion of the ad revenue through their platform. And for the first time in 20 plus years, search is declining. And it was like, I
Really?
don't remember if it was 5% or 8%, but it was significant enough. And of course, after that, Google's stock dropped.
Okay, so on the earnings call, Google didn't say, oh, search is slowing.
No, nor they're going to highlight that at all. They're going to start compensating and saying, all this other thing. And I do think they're making some good strategic investments, but the challenge is that, that's ad revenue. And so even if they can shift engagement to Gemini, and actually, let me show you.
Wow.
I'll show you a cool chart in a second. But even if they can shift that revenue, those ad dollars still need to go somewhere. And so somebody's going to basically be eating that up. And I don't know if that's going to be Meta or someone that engages social, or at some point, if any of the AI platforms decide to monetize in a different way besides just subscriptions, like who knows? Like, I don't know what's going to happen there. There's still ad dollars that need to be chased because, people need to advertise. And so how we see that play out is going to be interesting.
So, because search has been the best business of all time for 20 years. Like the most profitable company, fastest growing company, Google, it's been the best business model forever. And this is the first time we've ever seen it. Like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Is this not a totally monopoly? Do they have chinks in the armor?
Right. And it's so funny that now, it's like the time they're finally going after Google for being a monopoly, it's like no longer the case. That's just how things play out. But the other piece is like, Alphabet, it has all these different divisions that in and of themselves, I mean, YouTube is still massive and growing. You've got now Waymo, which is going to be a huge business. All of their, B2B and infrastructure stuff, like that's also big. So, but again, just as you mentioned, search is massive. And so that still eclipses the rest of their businesses, even, So again, we'll see. I wanted to show you though, one other sort of indicator on, let me share my screen. Okay. So if we go ahead and put in ChatGPT.
So for those who are listening or watching, what are we looking at here?
Okay.
This is what?
Google Trends. I'm pulling
Google
this up.
Trends.
This helps my FOMO. Anytime I'm like, am I missing out on something? I go to Google Trends to see what's actually going on. And again, Google Trends is based on search. So there's going to be some skewed data now that we know that search is declining. So as you can see, like ChatGPT just blows everything out of the water when it comes to search. And this is Gemini. But if you start adding in the rest of the LLMs, so if we put in Claude.
So what she's doing right now is she's got in the Google Trends, we're looking at the trend of ChatGPT over time. And then she compared that to Gemini. And it's like, it's not even close, right? It's like, oh, if it's on a scale of 100, ChatGPT is at 90 and Gemini is maybe at 5 or 10%. But now what she's doing is she's adding in Claude, she's adding in Grok, she's adding in Perplexity, maybe any of these other models, just to get a feel for like, okay, well, what does the rest of the search market potentially look like?
Yeah. So, and they're just not, they're not even close. And this is over a 12-month period. It's just, let's see if we can even go.
Wow, this is over the last 12 months?
Yeah, this is over 12 months. So even let's put it in comparison where, where this started, we'll see probably an inflection.
And what Google Trends is looking at is search trends, like search volume.
Yeah.
For these.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, this is probably even more exaggerated now that people are actually using the tools to find things. So SEO is probably going to be dying. I mean, it'll probably have a very slow death. I mean, people are still using AOL, so so that's still around. It takes a while for these things to drop off and those behaviors to change, but I think the acceleration is more exaggerated than anything historically we've seen.
Your point earlier was like, if there are $100, and I know that's not the right amount, but just conceptually imagine this. If there's $100 to be spent on ads in the economy, and for a long period of time, Google was soaking up 90 of those dollars. But now the search volume that Google has is declining. So it doesn't have the reach that it once had.
Right.
We're not going to stop spending the $100. So where does, let's say Google went from 90% to 80%, where does that additional $10 go? And that's the question.
Yeah.
It's like, who does it accrue to? Does it go to Meta? Because Meta has their platform. Does it go to Apple? Apple doesn't really have an ads platform. Does it somehow go to OpenAI or Perplexity or Claude, Anthropic, or some of these models? Or does it go somewhere else? That's the question right now, is where are these dollars going to go?
I've seen interesting indicators where I don't actually know the ad dollar numbers, but I know people are using now TikTok, for instance, as a search engine. So people are actually searching in TikTok for various things. And people are also doing that in YouTube. Now, of course, again, that's part of, Google's ecosystem. I think social is going to be a larger search engine, and how that plays out and what that looks like, again, I don't know, but I think a lot of dollars are going to shift to social.
So Google's earnings come out, doesn't look that bad, but then Apple, for whatever reason, under testimony says, oh, our ad dollars are shrinking from search. And everyone is like, oh, well, that must be because Google's not getting the same ad or, search volume that it once had. So It crashes. Have you ever heard of the innovator's dilemma?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to explain it and then you correct me because you probably know it much better than I do. But the innovator's dilemma is essentially you come out with a product, it does really, really well, and then you create this business. We're using Google as an example. You've got search, and search has just been amazing. But then these innovative products start popping up and they kind of start stealing some of your market share. And the innovator's dilemma is, do we continue to double down on this core product and make little changes to it, little optimizations over time just to make the product better? Or do we embrace this new innovation and start putting out products that effectively will cannibalize the golden goose that we've had over a period of time? And there's lots of examples over time. Clayton Christensen first, I think, coined this phrase. If you read the book Good to Great or any of his other works, he was a famous Harvard professor. But that's kind of what Google's going through right now. And it's so weird because you would think Google's the best position to own the AI race. They've got, for many people, probably the best model. It's got a massive context window. It can run really fast. They've got an integrated operating system. They've just got like all of these advantages. How much user data do they have on YouTube? How much user data do they have from search? Like, they should be eating everybody's lunch, but they don't want to do anything that might cannibalize their core business. And as an example, you might be thinking like, well, what could they do that would cannibalize their core business? What if they just integrated Gemini into the Google Suite? What if instead of going to Google Drive or going to your Gmail and then going outside of it to search, you used Gemini to search for those things? Well, then all of a sudden, the search volume that they would get from traditional Google would go way down. They would own the search. They would continue to own the quote unquote search market or the AI market. But that product that they once had would just kind of be gone. And I think a lot of people within Google would revolt against that. So that's the dilemma. Do we lose the short-term revenue on the bet that AI is going to take over without a known revenue model? Or do we continue to just bolster our current product and figure it out at some point down the road? Did I do a good job of articulating it?
You did it perfectly. And the key factor there is that cannibalization component, where like the original example that they gave was in the steel industry, where basically the large steel guys had the full suite of low quality steel all the way up to really high quality steel. And so new steel mills and the way they sort of built these steel factory or mills was targeting this lower quality product. And so the steel guys were like, well, we don't care about that as much because that's the lower end of our market. It's not as big of a piece of a pie.
Right.
And then those guys just started eating away and going up market until they basically...
Totally. The ultimate example that many people use is Kodak.
Yep.
So Kodak was a camera company and they had film. Kodak actually invented the digital camera. I think in the 70s or at some point. Like they had the technology, they created the digital camera, but they were like, oh, the quality's not as good. And so they stayed in film. And what happened? Like that business is dead. That business is gone. And Kodak was a massive business for a very long time, but it was the innovator's dilemma. They had film. They didn't want to go away from it, even though they had created the digital product. And then the digital camera ate their freaking lunch over time. But it was because they were unable or unwilling to adapt. And it's a very hard thing because you've got the golden goose. Do you kill the golden goose? Like that's a scary thing. This golden goose has given us lots of eggs for many years. And so anyways, that's the position that Google's in right now.
Yeah. And I think they're shifting. They see the writing on the wall. They're not, stupid guys, but I think you see that now with this year specifically, they've just been releasing and shipping. Basically, they had about, 10 years, I would say, like not shipping that much of interest or sexiness. And it's like, more some developer tools with bad UIs and all those other stuff.
Hey, I don't know if you remember this, but when we started this podcast, we entered into a social contract. I would spend time, energy, and money producing this podcast, interviewing these individuals and giving you insights into how to build, buy, start, grow your business. And you would like, subscribe, and leave me 5-star review. Now, out of that, we both get to talk to really cool people and hear really cool insights. We both get a ton of value. But I just want to help you keep your word. So would you do me a favor? Will you go leave a 5-star review for me on Apple or Spotify? It would really help. And if you want, even share this with a friend.
Now it's like in the last 6 months, really, they have just been coming out and shipping and shipping and shipping. And at the beginning last year, I was like, what is going on with Google? They're best positioned. And now they're just coming out with everything they've been cooking. And I think some of the founders are even now more involved. So I think they see what's happening. But again, they also have a large company that they have to shift. And that's, as you said, both the innovator's dilemma and a large bureaucracy and all the challenges of just change management of shit.
Yeah. I mean, you see what happens with these large companies, tech companies in particular, is like they go from growth mode to caretaker mode.
Yep.
And it's not a bad thing. It's just they shift in their maturity. And we saw it at Google. Google grows. They were on Eric Schmidt. And then eventually they transitioned to Sundar. And Sundar's done an amazing job of running that business efficiently. He's just done a phenomenal job from an efficiency standpoint. But from a new products, it's not great. You look at Apple, Steve Jobs,
Yep.
He was the driver, innovation after innovation, John Ivey, all these people, they leave and they bring in Tim Cook. Tim Cook's done a freaking phenomenal job of creating the supply chains, of sourcing, manufacturing, like getting their margins to the right place. But again, now they're not the innovator, within the industry. So there are Microsoft for a long time, although, oh gosh, what's their CEO's name?
Satya Nadella.
Yeah, Satya Nadella. I actually like that guy. I think, dude, he's like such a good balance of the two. But, they had Bill Gates and then Steve Ballmer comes in and they kind of just stay steady. They're in stasis. But then Satya Nadella comes on. He strikes up a deal with OpenAI. Like all of a sudden they've got the innovation back and they're more of a darling. So it's a difficult thing with these maturing tech companies. I totally get it.
For the audience, everybody has an opportunity right now because things are so fundamentally changing. And this is the great equalizer. So, both from a technical skill standpoint, it's more accessible than ever. And from a size standpoint, actually, some of these small, nimble companies are winning. Like there's, a great chart right now. Let me see real quick if I can pull it up of the number of team members to revenue for some of these companies that have already hit like 100 million in revenue. I think that was like Cursor and a few others.
While you're looking that up, if you look at the other earnings that came out this week, Meta came out this week.
Yep.
And their earnings were phenomenal. Like, dude, that Mark Zuckerberg, it's such a good balance of the innovator and the operator. That guy has run a really tight ship there. And you're starting to see now at Meta with their earnings, the revenue per employee jump. So they're still making capital infrastructure investments. They're still investing in their data centers and their cloud, et cetera. But you know what they're not doing? They're not adding humans at the same level that they once were.
Right.
And he was on stage, I think it was last week with Satya Nadella, and they were talking. And like, Mark, first of all, Mark's freaking weird. Did you see him on the Theo Von interview?
Yeah, it was this the one with the glasses where it was just,
dude.
Yeah.
Theo Von's like, do you drink coffee? And Mark's like, nah, brah. Silence, no response. And then Theo Von's like, oh, okay. You've never had coffee? And he's like, I drink it recreationally sometimes. You're like, Mark, oh gosh, man, you need someone to like coach you how to talk to people. Anyways, he was talking to Satya Nadella. He said in that conversation, 20 to 30% of their code right now is being written by AI.
Yeah, and that's incredible. And the other thing people don't talk about when it comes to both writing fresh code is the other thing no one talks about is technical debt. Like that is, in my mind, hundreds of billions of dollars in an opportunity of like rewriting all this historical code. And for those that might not be familiar, you have this also in an organization where basically you haven't standardized procedures so that everything is pristine and perfect. So you have, piles of documents somewhere where the same thing is with code. It's like you want to get things done quickly and fast. And so it can be a little bit messy, move fast
Yeah.
with things. Well, a lot breaks inside of companies, and most companies are sausage factories. You don't want to see how the sausage gets made because it's a mess. And so now being able to use AI tools to clean up those messes is really exciting, even though it's super boring and,
Dude, I didn't know. I'd heard the term tech debt, but I didn't really know what it was until this weekend. I went to a tribe retreat with a bunch of entrepreneurs, and I'd met her before, but her name is Ellie. I'd have to look at her last name, but she has a company called Yala. Have you heard of her company at all?
I haven't, but I know her. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Love her. Super smart. She's a fractional CTO. That's like her job. She works with small agencies or small companies that need a CTO. And so she's a fractional CTO, but she's developed this product on the side called Yala, which addresses this tech debt issue. And it blew my freaking mind. So for somebody who's an idiot like me listening, like tech debt, what does that mean? Imagine you bought a house that's 100 years old. And for many on the East Coast, this is a real thing. And you tear up the floorboards, right? Because you're like, I don't like this flooring. And when you tear it up, you're like, there's a layer of 70s carpet. And then there's a layer of like linoleum. And then there's a layer of the actual like original hardwood of the home. And you're like, what is happening here? And so then you've got to go in and rip all that stuff out. And then while you're ripping it out, you realize, oh, the plumbing's all jacked up. Not only are there a bunch of pipes, but like there's added pipes from different eras where like, oh, this is a lead pipe and this one's PVC and this one's now copper and whatever. So it creates more work. You have to then go in and clean up all that crap. That's tech debt. As they've been creating these companies, the engineers that are writing the code, they have to make a decision. Do we clean all this old stuff up or do we just like patch it and move forward? And most of the time they patch it and move forward. So Ellie's company, Yala, what it does is it will, using AI, take a snapshot of the technical infrastructure and then give you an idea of how it currently sits. And then you can start to identify like, oh, there's some tech debt here. But it's also for like, oh, we're developing this project. We've gotten this far. I need a new engineer.
Yep.
The new engineer can just come in using Yala and they just, oh, okay, cool. I have a clear understanding of where everything maps to as opposed to spending all that time to map it out. So anyways, to your point, I had no idea that was a thing, but it is a thing. And like AI can help solve that now.
And just on that note, so I think businesses, there's two opportunities that brings up. So now everyone's doing vibe coding, right? So most of us who are vibe coding, like you get to a certain point and then you get stuck, or things like you try to ship something and things start breaking. Or there was an example where a guy published a product, but then people were basically hacking into the back end because he had exposed things because he doesn't know the general principles. And so there is a gap and a new market opportunity for engineers to basically fill that gap and be like, okay, we have to now clean up your code that you just vibe coded into existence without thinking through the proper infrastructure.
That's what I didn't understand is like you can go on, you can vibe code, right? But it usually gets you like 80 or 90% of the way there and you still need someone to come in and finish it. Well, in order for someone to come in and finish it, they've got to understand what's the architecture of your coding.
Yep.
And so they will come in and spend probably 5-10 hours at least just understanding what it currently is so that they can make the changes. And that was the point of her product, Yala. She's like, cool, you vibe coded? That's fine.
Yeah.
Use Yala and now you can go find that engineer and you don't have to pay the 10 hours for them to do the assessment.
Right.
Yala does the assessment for them and they can move forward. I think there's going to be a lot of little solutions like that people can go in and create and quickly spin up. And then it's solving a problem that we've known it's been a problem, but it just wasn't as big enough of a problem for a big tech company to address.
Absolutely. And there's two other sort of pieces to that as well. So one is cybersecurity, because I know Ellie's also, that's her sort of bread and butter. That is also going to be a big issue with all these vibe coded products, is because nobody thinks about cybersecurity when they're building these little tools, and there's going to be a lot of challenges. So that's one. Then
that would be an interesting product for an entrepreneur, is just like
really,
to spin up hey, you're vibe coding, cool. Buy this prompt or package or whatever, and like, Cool. Now you're SOC 2 compliant or what, whatever the compliance level is. That's interesting.
There's been a couple companies that have recently like done really well in the space, Wiz and then Vanta, that have actually proven out that there's a ton of opportunity in cybersecurity across the board. Another opportunity for the business audience, though, is thinking about this from an organizational perspective, because there's also organizational debt. Again, as either people are shifting from software or even, again, the things that you never do, like build an SOP as an SMB. Like, okay, maybe you've documented a couple things, but not a lot. We know, again, no, things are messy. And so by using AI tools just to do the things and the hygiene work that you should do, but again, you just don't ever have time or prioritize. And we know that's true. No one likes to talk about it, but you could build little AI agents or tools that help actually make all of those things to build better organizational hygiene, so that, again, you don't have to spend the time to do that, but you can still have it done by AI or AI automation.
Liz, I love that idea. That is a freaking amazing idea. Not just tech debt, but organizational debt, where it comes in and can I tell you something I've been doing the last week in particular? Okay. Yeah. So I told you I'm working on this project and I hired an intern. The intern doesn't know anything. Right. He's very smart, but he doesn't know anything. And so I've been wearing my pendant around my chest that's recording everything. That thing has been so freaking helpful, because at the end of every day, I have the transcript and I've taught him now how to do it. And he goes and it summarizes the day. Originally, we used it to map out what his orientation was going to be. And we have those documents now. And so it actually references those documents in the project that we've created to tell us, are we on track? Are we off track? What did we do that we shouldn't have done? What did we need to have done that we didn't do? And like, it has saved so much mental time at the end of the day, where not only am I stressed about like, oh, I got to update this thing so that he's on the right track, but also I got to think through the day and be like, okay, what did we decide on? How did this work? And now I've got the pendant right there, which instantaneously gets me the first draft of like our do outs. And he was so funny. He was sitting at the computer and he didn't know what he said, but like I laughed so hard. He was like, dude, meetings are toast. And it was like, as if meetings are an entity or a person, but it's also true. It's like, yeah, meetings are toast. We can have this thing. So just as a business owner, if you just start wearing that thing, and it doesn't matter if it's Limitless AI or Claude or whatever, you just start recording your days, and then you create a process for yourself at the end of the day to summarize that, catalog it, and archive it. Then you can go back and ask it. He's like, hey, how is my sales process? Is it as clean as it could be? And like, it will start mapping these things for you. It's incredible. So your idea of organizational debt, where you got clutter, first you have to give it the information. But if you can use that pendant to give it the information, then you can start making really cool decisions. That is a genius idea, Liz.
Well, on that note too, I think like there's a lot of like, I always think of digital workers, but there's also, as you're saying, being out and about and like in the real world, interacting with people. And there are so many businesses like in the trades that are on site. And so they can't go and just, take a video of what they do online, because they have a process when they're in the field. And so I think these tools now, whether it's the glasses or I used to be in the body camera business. So, maybe it's a body camera that has the OCR, or I had been at one point looking at an investment where they were building out a tool that actually helped on the fly doing an analysis of something that then gave feedback or documented it through both video capture and, again, explaining it. So no one's really come out with all like a tool suite there, but I think there's also another lane and avenue where people can build out tools to help with that capture of the real world. And there's just a gazillion applications for that.
All right. Well, we're going to have to spin this up before somebody else does. So we have like a week time to do this. But even if it's just a prompt where we know how to ask the transcript or the AI to evaluate the transcript, because it's like, okay, you are a process specialist.
Yep.
I need your help identifying any moments in my days, and I'm going to give you a week's worth of time where I'm wasting time doing something that could be automated.
Yep.
But I don't know what should be automated. Like even if we just wrote that prompt and created a wrapper, $5 a pop. Oh no, we might have to cut this part out. I'm just kidding. I really like that. I think that's a really cool idea.
To our note about social search, I actually found them in Twitter versus finding them from Googling them. So just another data point on that. All right, here, let me share my screen. Okay, so this again is software development and engineers is basically dropped off a cliff. But again, a couple opportunities for folks to maybe fill those gaps for vibe coders. And then here we have this was one of the charts where basically it's showing their recurring revenue and the number of people. And of course, these are tech businesses, but still, I mean, I think this is an indicator. You would never have seen this even before, 2023. So
Wow.
this is pretty exciting. And again, small, medium-sized businesses can have these same sorts of numbers as well.
12 million ARR with 4 people.
Yeah. Yeah. And this, I think they're up to 30 now too. So this is an old chart, but
Crazy.
it is crazy.
Well, like I was saying, in the Meta earnings, Meta did really well in those earnings because I think people are seeing, oh, there's going to be some real value that accrues to Meta.
Yes.
Meta also launched their own standalone model. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but just like Grok is now its own standalone thing, I believe Meta has launched their own standalone, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what we're looking at right now is Meta's one, and they came out of the gate on feature parity. So basically, they came out with all the same features most of the other LLMs have, but they have a couple other ones I'll show in a second of things that are different than some of the other ones. And
what's it called?
This is just meta.ai. So literally, if you go to meta.ai, you'll find this, and it's free. And same with Grok, it's free, and Gemini, it's free. And then the other ones have obviously tiers, a free tier, and then you have to subscribe. So I think those are some benefits and considerations. So a couple of the cool features that Meta has is, so one, you can do voice interaction. So that's pretty cool. You can talk to it, you can code with it, and then you can create a cool image. Let's imagine a dog wearing sunglasses. All right, we'll just keep it simple for now. You can then animate it, which is the cool feature. So one, they make it just
say what?
Yeah. So we're going to animate this.
All right, so she said, okay, so we got the dog. It's a cool dog with some sunglasses on at the beach. All right. Static image. But now it's going to animate it?
Yeah. So very simply, they don't have like crazy, it's not going to start talking or anything, but it has movement.
What? So it's like a GIF almost.
A GIF. And so, of course, ChatGPT has like Sora, and then Google has VO, and they're all developing their own image models, but it just came out of the gate, and it's just easy, super friendly.
Yeah, but it's also not native. Like if I want to go use Sora, I have to go out of ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's sort of a funky user experience. But again, Meta is like, consumer focused. They understand people. And so they also made just styles. So you don't have to remember, like, was it a photorealistic? Do I call it mechanical felt? Like, I don't remember how to call this. So like, can you,
man.
Now it just makes it very user friendly. So they're really thinking through UI and nuance very well. The other cool feature that I think is an indicator to what we were talking about before, let me see how to get back, is this discovery. So there are a couple like Midjourney.
Discovery.
Yeah. So Midjourney, Perplexity have this like UI where people publish things, and then you can go through basically this like pinboard of what people have created. But what's interesting is if you click on this little fox guy, all of a sudden you see people commenting on it, liking it, and engaging with it. So I think this is an early indicator that they're going to be incorporating in social dynamics into their AI tool, which we have yet to see, but it makes a ton of sense.
So hold on. Your screen is, for me, it's small. It's not bad.
Great.
Are you within? No. You're totally fine. I'm just saying that because I can't quite read it. Are you within meta.ai? And is there like a tab that you click for social, or is it just
no.
there?
So when you go to the home screen and you just scroll down, this is, I guess, the Discover. So on the left-hand side, it says Discover. And then they just have this wall of examples. And then again, if you just click into any of them, or you can sort of see like, again, likes, comments, and remixes, you can take someone's and change it to your liking. But you have all this. So, something's going to happen here. They're smart.
That's totally social. Yeah.
So, and again, the other one's positioned well for this.
I would
rock.
Well, I was going to say, I wonder if with the Facebook example or the Meta example, you could create that. Does it give you an option then to say like, would you like to publish this to Instagram and Facebook?
I'm sure, let's see, copy link. Not yet, but I'm sure that's coming, and like that's an easy feature. So
yeah,
I don't see it here directly, but yeah, I mean, again, they have a massive ecosystem and they're smart cookies. They basically
they're very smart.
Our social our social dynamics and behaviors online. So I think that's super cool. There's some other cool features, so it's worth checking out. Again, it's free. Oh, the other just cool thing is they actually have a way that you can edit the text. So let's say it just created a 3-day business trip carry-on packaging list. I now have a text editor here. So rather than going and copying and pasting this into, let's say, a Google Doc or Microsoft, you can now within here, let's say, okay, I don't want bullet points. So again, copy and paste is dying, which is fantastic because they're just integrating some of these cool features here. So
Wait
again,
a second.
simple things, but
you did it fast. I'm so stupid. Wait, what?
Yeah. So I am doing text editing. We're going to bold. This is just a text editor. Or you can highlight parts and not the whole.
Oh, so you can click on something to say text editing?
Yeah. So up here, it's basically just like what you would see in a normal text editor up top.
Yeah.
You can change heading types, do bold, italicize, whatever.
Oh, so it'll give you the output and then you can go and mess around with it.
Exactly. Which again is unique because before it's like you want to change something, you have to do a new prompt and reference this. And so here you can also select a partial amount of text to rewrite that only. So again, small things.
Oh, very cool.
Big impact because again, less clicks, fewer changing tabs. Another quick thing I wanted to highlight, and then I don't know if we'll have time to get into MCP. I had a whole thing ready for MCP, but getting away with this other stuff. Okay, Grok. Okay, I hate formatting. Like this is the bane of my existence. Grok now allows you to create PDFs without having to go, again, take and copy paste something and then convert it into a PDF. So let's do create an academic paper PDF on AI.
An academic paper PDF on AI.
Yeah.
Okay.
You do have to ask it to do a PDF. And if you ask with like certain prompts, you can also get diagrams and sort of technical visualization in it as well. It's like referencing certain codes. So I won't even mention it at the moment, but you can ask it and it'll bring it up. But okay, let's give it.
So it's thinking right now?
Yeah, it's thinking.
When you say create me a whatever research PDF, like what are you hoping for? Is it like a long form?
Exactly this. So a format of where you would go and look at an academic paper, it would be structured and formatted in a way.
Oh.
Because this is just a pain in the butt. Like having to go.
Yeah. So what we're looking at now, it created it, and it's like, it's got the title, it's got the introduction, it's got the methodology. Yeah, it looks like an
academic paper.
An academic paper.
But here, we'll just do create a resume PDF for Liz Knopf. All right, so I don't even know if it's going to look up anything about me, but it's going to create a formatted resume.
So I just had a call with a company that's rolling out a software that we created. And from that call, I took the transcript and I created a summary of the conversation and a couple of PDF documents so that we can just have this moving forward. It was kind of a clunky process to do in ChatGPT, just not great. Could I have done the same thing with Grok?
Yeah, you could literally copy and paste whatever, put it in here and just
take that transcript and then just say,
make me
and tell me what was the prompt again? Write me an academic paper?
Create a resume PDF, and then I put my name. So whatever it could be for what other info, like this obviously is not about me or anything, but it can literally take whatever content you put in it and just say PDF in it, and it will output a PDF. So if you want an NDA template, if you want, whatever other template, it will create that format for you. Because again, formatting, putting headers, it just takes time. It's like all these little things that are annoying when you're creating a document, but we all like nice visuals. We just don't like creating them. So yeah, huge time saver.
What do you use this for?
So I haven't necessarily used it yet because I found out about this only a couple days ago because I think it launched last week. But yeah, this is literally, everything from, I think I came up with 15 different examples that I'll be posting on social, which was everything from like, if you're creating a menu, a resume, an academic paper, bibliography, I created a whole event schedule and with the layout of a hotel map with this as well. So again, I haven't used it like actively where I've sent this to someone because I haven't.
An event map? That's really freaking cool.
Let's see if I can even pull it up because I don't know where I did it. It might have been in here. All right, I don't know where it is, so I don't want to waste time trying to find it.
No worries.
Yeah. I'll post it later on social as an example. But yeah, I basically did that. You do have to call on like some specific language. Like I don't know what, latex beamer class is, but I had found it when I asked it, like I wanted to do this. I want to include diagrams. What's the prompt? So like if you want it to do some kind of visualization, you don't know what the prompt is, just ask it and it'll tell you. So
what the freak? This is blowing my mind. I'm doing it right now. I have no idea if this is going to work. Please take this transcript and make it into a 3-page marketing PDF document in the branding style of the picture I uploaded. Let's see how this does. It's uploaded. All right. And then I gave it the transcript. Let's see what it does. I'm so curious right now. Super Grok. Okay. Starting document, setting up the document class, blah, 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 blah. If it can do this and make it look good, I will use this all the time. I mean, there's just so many things that you want to communicate efficiently.
Yep.
And in a visually pleasant way. I mean, there's a reason why people started posting on LinkedIn and Twitter with these like one-line sentences. I used to hate it.
Yeah.
But it's like people like to look at that. Like it's visually pleasing for them to look through this stuff. Okay, it's spitting it out. Okay, so if you can't see this, I'm going to show this. This, I took a screenshot, and this is Glide. So this is the SaaS company that I have. This is Glide. This is what their branding looks like. I literally just went to the website, took a screenshot, and uploaded it here. And so then I asked Grok to take that conversation when we were doing a demo for a team and using the branding that I took from the website, make a marketing PDF that's 3 pages. And here it is. Wow.
So I would
it looks
say
good
for marketing and like business process documentation and infographics. Start with doing tell Claude to visualize it, and it'll create just very basic like business visualizations of like diagrams and business mapping. And then you can take that and put it then into ChatGPT image generation to then make it like prettier. So this is like, again, more academic and sterile and business.
Interesting.
But if you go before you even, let's see how.
Okay, I'm going to do it. So you said,
okay.
Oh man. So I'm going to take this.
You don't need to even take this PDF because I feel like this PDF stuff is again more like, legal documents and like very sterile that you don't need for marketing.
So
visualize. You don't have much of a prompt. Just say like visualize this content and maybe whatever. I don't know what's inside. So, there you go.
Again, so this was a presentation that we made to a skilled nursing facility company that we're trying to sell into, but we're doing more and more of these. And so we want to have a standardized, like, this is our onboarding documentation. This is our.
Let me change your prompt a little bit. Okay. Say, estimate a couple sections, like say, visualize 3 documents of the first 3 sections. Oh, wait, it's doing another one. So let's see if it does it here. Hold on. Because you can also do multiple visualizations within Claude now. So rather than having like one, it'll do like multiple documents. So we'll see what it does. Yeah, it's doing a workflow.
So again, all I did was I took the transcript, I put it in here, and then the prompt I gave it was visualize this content for a marketing doc I want to create. And it first spit out an outline that was like, okay, here's the guide over. Oh, holy crap. And now it's working to create a visual component that illustrates the Glide workflow process. Now it's working on creating a visual component that focuses on key areas of the Glide platform. Okay, so let me just look here. Oh, wow.
Yeah. See, this
is the document that's, okay, so this is the document to spit out. This is great. All right, so here are the key pieces of it. Here are the key benefits. Start optimizing your revenue today. Okay, great. Then it shows me, here's the Glide platform. This is how it works. This is the value. Oh my gosh. Oh my, dude, it took quotes from the webinar and added them to this document.
Yeah.
I think this could save us a lot of time, manpower hours in the LTC areas. That's amazing. What? So, and then you would then take this and put it into ChatGPT?
If you want to add it prettier, add more graphics or like cartoonish stuff, like this is pretty good from like a business standpoint. It's nice and clean and what you would want. Obviously you can sort of vibe design, changing the.
Well, what if I took like that picture, right? Of like, hey, here is Glide's brand scheme. Please redesign Will it do a good job of this?
Yes. And a couple just things to note. Sometimes it'll put like text on top of boxes or like mess up so there's overflow text. And if you just
Okay.
like tell it, you take a screenshot of it and you put it back in and then just tell it what's wrong, it'll fix it. So sometimes it's not perfect. Like this actually is like beautifully done, but
I
sometimes
know.
it's not perfect. But again, you can just vibe design it within
This is
Claude.
insane, Liz.
Yeah.
This is so good.
I know. I've been
Holy
visualizing like
crap.
everything. So it's fantastic.
So why would you use Grok over Claude then?
It's totally different kinds of business documents. So this is marketing or like visualization. The other is like creating, again, like a resume, creating
White paper.
a white paper, a menu, a legal document, like very, again, things that don't need branding, that are more just content that you would put typically into a PDF that you have like multiple columns or, you know, like a standardized structuring of it. Again, you don't need to make it pretty. And with Claude, it's the business use cases that you need to make something prettier. And then with ChatGPT is where you're going to get the cartoons, the animation, or the graphics to add on. Like, again, this is like, they're not going to create a cartoon version or a Ghibli version of, you know, your logo, but it will provide just data structured with colors.
Okay. It didn't make a ton difference. So I probably just have to go in here and like iterate because the color scheme is not what Clyde is. Anyways, dude, this is fantastic. I love this. We're gonna have to do a separate MCP episode.
Well, I always want to talk MCP.
We need to.
Pushing it,
I know,
but that's okay. It's evolving.
This was awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Hopefully you liked that episode. And if you've made it this far, you're either really committed or you're stuck doing yard work and you can't actually skip on your phone. So while I have you, the show is growing, but I have a favor to ask of you. Will you please help me grow the show? I want to reach more people. There's a couple things that you can do. Like and subscribe is the simplest thing. Obviously, you want to get notifications for when the next episode is coming out. But if you go the next step, will you leave me a review? 5-star on Spotify or Apple. What that does is it tells the algorithm that, oh, hey, this is a high value podcast because more people are leaving reviews for it, and it then pushes it out to more people. So that's why when people are like, will you like and subscribe and put a 5-star rating? It's not just to make themselves feel better. It's actually to get more exposure for the show. So if you do that for me, I would greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.